Hi guys, welcome to For Fuck's Sake. I'm Dr. Cari. Today I have the lovely Dallasia. She just finished up her junior year at UNR and she's studying journalism because she wants to discover and uncover the truths for all of us, which is frighteningly in jeopardy these days. So she's definitely our future for knowing what the heck is going on. So that should be celebrated like hell. She moved here to Reno from Jersey City, New Jersey, when she was 16. And she's the first person in her family to be pursuing a bachelor's degree, which she will have in approximately exactly 12 months.
1 year.
That's right. So she's a first generation student and she wants to be an advocate, writer, and journalist. And she sees digging out the unique stories and advocating for people who don't have it all going on for one reason or another. She's going to tell us the truth. So first I want to ask you, how the heck did you get here from Jersey City? So tell me from the beginning, what's your family story?
I asked the same question to myself and to my mom. It was in the middle of the pandemic. We were kind of already thinking about moving somewhere, but I didn't think we would move across the country because moving was something my mom talked about for a few months prior to us moving. But once COVID hit and things were just not good for anyone, she thought it was the perfect time to move. And so she visited Tucson before a few years prior, and she didn't like Tucson because it was too hot.
Amen.
And so I guess she started doing research, like cities around Tucson or like cities on the West Coast. I don't know, but she found out about Reno, like just doing research. And one day we just packed up and we just came here. It took us 4 days to drive, and I don't know how to drive and my brother doesn't know how to drive. So she had to take the trip herself, and it took us 4 days. And yeah, we landed here on May 20th, 2022. And yeah, now I'm here.
Deep COVID. So was it just the three of you? You, your mom, and your brother?
Yes. At first, my other brothers stayed in New Jersey. My sister stayed in New Jersey because I have 4 brothers and 1 sister. So it's like only 1 brother and myself came with my mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can I ask where your dad was?
He was in New Jersey, but he has a wife. And my mom weren't the best, I guess. And so he found his family, he found his wife. And so he was just with them and her kids. And my mom just had us as a single mom. So yeah, he stayed in New Jersey and he's still in New Jersey.
That's gotta be tough. Single mom with 4 or 5 kids? Yeah.
Raising all of us by herself. And it's crazy because my father wasn't here, from what I remember, until I went to college. So that's kind of frustrating to think about. You waited until I was 18 and you waited until you didn't have to. Right. You're a few years late. But yeah, that's okay.
That happened to Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure his dad was completely absent until all of a sudden he was 6'2", 300 pounds and dunking while basically standing still. So yeah, hi Pops. I'm going to be a millionaire. Now you want in.
Now, because I'm in college, I don't know. He tries, I guess, but I do feel why did you wait? But it is what it is.
Okay. All right, so you get out here and you're going into your junior year of high school at that point?
Yes, I was in the middle of high school. I finished my sophomore year in Jersey City, and then we moved here. And once the school year started, I was a junior, and that was tough because, you're already a junior. I didn't feel really making friends or anything like that, especially because I was in this new city. Middle of high school, I just focused on school. It was hard to really be a high schooler because I was already almost finished, and yeah, I was already 16 at that point. So yeah, I was a junior. in high school when I came here. I graduated from Reno High School.
Yeah. I don't want to get into that now.
Yeah, that Reno. Ooh.
I mean,
The
what
drama.
in the world? My kid and his friends are calling it the insurrection.
Oh my goodness. No, because like so much has been happening. I've been like reading headlines. I talked to the career counselor that was at Reno High at the time I went there. I was her student aide. I talked to her. I was like, what's going on? And she's just like, it's just terrible. And it's like, they've never seen that happen before at the school. And it's just crazy. And to me, it's like, you guys are about to graduate. You know, like I think the students were seniors and like they were literally going to graduate in like the next 2-3 weeks. And they just ruined it.
They had 10 days. They had 10 days to get through, and not even full days. Like now it's in finals, so you're there till, you're there from 7:30 till like 7:35. Not even full days. 10 days to get through. And now that's not going to happen, and they're not going to walk, and they've been suspended, and they might have felonies. They should have felonies.
That's what you get. I don't know.
It's really a shame to start out your adulthood like that, but some of them, it sounds like, have been social menaces for quite some time. Yeah. But okay, so beyond that, so you get out here, you start as a junior at Reno High, and you didn't really feel like making friends. So who was your support system?
My teachers, honestly. I was a student aide for Tasha Paulskill. She was a huge support for me. Scott Marriott, loved him. He was my JAG teacher. JAG is like a nonprofit organization. It's national, but every state has its own like name. So we were jobs for Nevada's graduates. And in that class, we learned how to build a resume. We learned how to make a LinkedIn. He helped me apply to UNR. So like I never had a resume before then. I didn't really know or care about like my career, things like that. I was like, oh, I'm only 16. But taking that class and having him support me, amazing. Even my school counselor, her name was Michelle. She was a huge support for me too, because it was like really emotional for me to be there. So like I would go into her office, and I know one time like I was sitting in her office like crying because things were just hard, and she was there to fully support me. So I would say like just like the educators and like the teachers and the mentors, like they made a huge difference for me. And I met some people, like I met a few people who were like really cool, but I didn't really consider them my friends because like, it's not like we were hanging out outside of school or like, they were just kind of like classmates, but I didn't consider them my friends. Like it's hard for me to consider someone my friend, I think. So I had people I was cool with, but my main support, I think, was like my teachers and like my counselor, for sure.
Maybe the most underpaid, undervalued profession in this country.
Just maybe.
Yeah. I mean, both my parents were public school teachers, and I know we spent a lot of time on the weekends and in the evenings sitting there grading papers for them and entering grades for them. And I mean, I'm sorry, these people just do not get paid enough. And then, they're emotionally supporting you, not just for your education, but for your entire life coming up. That's so huge. It's just huge.
1,000%. And I would say like even outside of Reno High School, like even when I was in New Jersey and like I was experiencing a lot of things, it was literally the teachers who were like my backbone, like my foundation, my support, like is literally the educators who are, in my life, who are actually making a difference. And I really hate that like teachers are getting like some like not getting slander, but they're undervalued, I feel like. And they're so much more important than people realize, I think, for education, but also just for like support. Because a lot of students, they don't have that support at home. Like you have no idea what someone's going through at home. And a lot of the times the teachers are like that person's only safe space. And it was the case for me. So I get really frustrated when I think about how people think, even with the amount that teachers are paid, some people think they should be getting paid less, or like, oh, their jobs aren't that important. I'm like, what do you mean? doesn't even make sense. Like educators, like teachers, like, are you serious?
They literally make the world go around. We can't do anything without them.
Without teachers, like.
So was your school and home life in Jersey before you came out here? Was it smooth sailing?
Oh no, not at all.
Oh no, she says. Oh no, not at all.
No, because there was just a lot of, I would say, like generational things, especially trauma that was like still trickling in at home. We weren't struggling like we used to, but we were still kind of picking up pieces. And like, for me, it was hard mentally as well. I had a lot of anxiety. I think I had like depression, just dealing with things and dealing with family, not even just immediate family, but like outside of my family. There's just a lot going on. And so again, like school was the only place where I felt safe. And it was the place where I knew like people would hear me out and support me, because things just weren't great at home. I wasn't being abused with my mom or my siblings. It was just more of like, maybe we struggled to eat, and you know, it was just like there wasn't any type of stability really. But I love my mom and I love my siblings, and they were also a support for me. But as a whole, like it just wasn't like the healthiest childhood to grow up with. So yeah, school, teachers, definitely, they were my outlet for sure.
Safe haven. Okay. And so you get out here, you're not making friends, but you've got a good support system at Reno High, which is freaking phenomenal. And things are going well with your mom, better with your mom?
Better, for sure. There is a lot of history. And I don't know if you would want me to go into it.
Oh, do the thing. Get on up in there.
Okay. So I've been to a lot of therapy since coming to Reno. Like when I turned 18, went to college, like immediately went to therapy. So I can talk about it without getting emotional, thankfully. Like I don't know where I would be without therapy. But anyway, so growing up until 5 years old, we really did struggle. It was like the worst that I remember. Like we didn't have any lights in the house. We barely had food, and my mother was struggling with drug use. But from my memory, like as a child, it was almost like, oh, my life isn't bad. Like I have my siblings, like I have my mom, like I felt loved. And now that I'm older, it wasn't until I was older that I found out my mom did struggle with drugs, because as a child, she never had it around us.
Oh,
she never used around us. She never had her, things out to where we can touch it or access it. But she was using in the background, and I just didn't know that. Like I remember being a child and we wouldn't have lights for weeks. And instead of being like afraid or like thinking like, oh my goodness, this is terrible, I felt happy because my siblings, being the youngest child, they would turn it into a game of hide and seek, like a big game of hide and seek in this house with no lights. And that was our way of coping. Mm-hmm. So it's like, when I look back, it was just not a good childhood, but it's almost like the love was there. Mm-hmm. At least I felt love, especially from my siblings, because I was like the youngest girl. Even my mom, like she didn't hit us, she didn't abuse us, but it wasn't a healthy environment. It was a poor childhood objectively. And so when I was 6, I went into the foster system. That in itself is a whole story. And so when I went into the foster system, I was separated from my mom and eventually separated from my siblings. And so I was in foster care from 6 until I was 11. And it's crazy because I was living with other family members, but the things I experienced with them is just like terrible. I would say a lot of emotional abuse, a lot of, oh, your mom doesn't love you, she's just a drug addict, you will never go home, and like just terrible things. And you would think that with them being family that I would be taken care of, but that wasn't the case. So when I went into the foster system, it felt like everything was ripped away from me. Like even though it wasn't good. Like, it wasn't a good childhood to stay with my mom. I still had the love in a way from my siblings and from her. So when I went with other family, it's like that was completely taken away, especially when I was separated from all of my siblings and ended up by myself with this one aunt who was just terrible. So yeah, I went to foster care from 6 to 11. And even when I went home, it was still like, it wasn't stable. Like, we lost so many years together, and it was just hard to like come back together finally. But I had my mom again. My mom, she was clean, and she still is clean. Like, she is one of the strongest people I know, because
give it up for mom.
Yes.
Well done. Hold on, I can do this.
Yes.
Yay, mom! Right on.
Yes.
That's so hard. Especially since it doesn't sound like she was getting much support from within the family. People are talking shit behind her back.
Literally, that's all it was. Like, just straight up dogging her. And like, even she experienced abuse with the family. And it's just like, my family's just a mess, honestly. So when we went home, it was still tough, but I had my mom, I had my siblings. But I will say, I knew I had to get away. Like, I knew I had to go to college, and that would have been my way out, I guess. So my last 2 years of high school, after I moved here, I worked really, really hard. And I think that's also part of why I didn't really like care about friends, because I was literally like just focused on school. I would go to the library after school, like until they closed, or like at least for an hour just to take notes. And my last year, I was in 2 AP classes. So I was just really focused on school. I took AP English and AP Psychology. AP Psychology was super hard. Like the final exam test thingy that you need to take to get college credits, you needed a 5. No. So this grading scale was 1 to 5. You needed at least a 3, and I got a 2. Sadly, it was tough. Like, I got an A in the class, but AP Psych was just hard.
And people would think it's psych, like that's just a gimme, right? You're just sliding into home. That's the 1A that you're for sure gonna get, and it's not like that.
It's not. It was tough. Like, it was really tough. Like, I got an A in the class, but the AP test exam, I only got a 2. I was like, oh, like, this was hard, but I was good with AP English. So yeah, I just finished high school. Even in high school, I met people that changed my life. I got the Westover scholarship. It's the largest scholarship at Reno High School.
Yo!
Yes.
Hey!
Like, my life completely changed once I moved here. And I did work hard. It was actually like extremely, extremely hard to get where I am today, but I know that it's worth it, and it will be worth it. But I don't want to undermine what it took to get here. But yeah, I graduated with my scholarship, went to UNR, and now I'm in my last year, and 3.4. I love my what's it called? My major. I love writing. I love journalism. I think I was meant to be a journalist. Yeah, it's just a continuing journey.
So we're gonna do the Tupac Biggie thing.
Tupac Biggie thing.
Yeah, because you're kind of East Coast and I'm kind of West Coast, but you've transitioned in between.
Yes.
So what were some of the big differences that you noticed coming to Reno from Jersey City?
Okay, I can start by saying Jersey City, or my neighborhood, was not perfect at all. Definitely wasn't perfect. But moving here, it kind of opened a new perspective for me in good and bad ways. I think the biggest impact moving has had for me was like my identity and how people like view me. Because in New Jersey, they kind of valued like individuality, and like you didn't really have to conform, and like you were just who you were. And if someone didn't like you, like you probably were just an asshole. Like like you probably were like just an asshole. Like you probably had beef, and like like it was like there were real issues going on. I know people from the 80s, sometimes they say like, oh, when I grew up around everyone. Like no one was, fighting with each other for stupid shit or like race and stuff like that. And I feel the same way, kind of like in New Jersey, I didn't worry about my image and like being perceived because you didn't really have to. Like everyone looked different. Everyone was different. Like even if they looked the same, they didn't look the same. Like you look at this person, oh, okay, that's whoever. You look at this person, okay, she's that. And again, if someone didn't like you, it was probably like a real reason. But when I moved here, I started to feel like, and I was kind of reminded of the other reality where people will look at me and they have like already like a preconceived bias with me as like a Black woman, especially with the way I present myself. I would say like wearing lashes, doing my edges, whatever. The way I talked, because I know when I first moved here, my accent was probably like worse. So
just stronger, not
stronger.
Worse.
Yes, stronger is the word.
Yes, more noticeable.
Yes, like so it's like once I moved here, it started feeling like I started to encounter more people who didn't like me, like for no reason in a way. Whereas in New Jersey, like people had issues and it was like normal, but over here it's like people treated you differently in a way, and like I can't think of a reason why. Like for one, I don't even know you. For two, we didn't spend enough time together for you to be so confident and sure about me, but still treating me differently or being passive aggressive or being rude. My roommates shouted slurs in the apartment while I was home, and they had like a ton of their friends over. It's like stuff like that. Like I didn't have to worry about that shit at home. Like I didn't worry about that. Like I knew I was Black, obviously, but it wasn't like, it wasn't a conscious thought in every fucking interaction and every day. So I would say that's the biggest impact it's had on me. Like Jersey City versus Reno, it just opened my perspective because I knew like people thought that way and I knew people were prejudiced, but to actually like live in it and to actually like experience it a lot more, I was like, oh shit. Oh.
Yeah, it just got really real.
It got real. Yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of that. And my son is the whitest person you've ever been around. Like, I can't really explain it genetically, but he is. And I have to point out to him microaggressions that happen when we're together because he doesn't see it, right? He doesn't experience it because he's a white boy. He's a cis hetero white boy in America. Like he's the golden child. He looks like an Aryan Nation poster child. And so he doesn't get it. But then I'll be like, did you just see that? Did you just hear that? And it's fascinating because then he's kind of picking up on it too. And he was just telling me, so his girlfriend's Mexican and he was driving a few weeks ago. She's in the passenger seat. There's two white kids in the back seat and he gets pulled over. I don't remember. He got let off, so I don't remember what he got pulled over for, but he got pulled over and he immediately was like 10 and 2, eyes forward. The girlfriend was doing the same thing, like hands on the dashboard. We are prepared. And he looks in the rearview mirror and these fools are in the back on their phone with their feet up on the back of the seat, like hunched down, no seat belts on, not giving a fuck. And he was like, yo, act proper. Like, wait, what is, and they're like, oh my God, calm down. And he was like, and I just thought, that's so funny because the cop is going to come up and see you in the driver's seat and be like, it's all good. And you're acting like a Black boy. What is happening in there? But I mean, for better or for worse, he's been around me enough. He's been around my family and his family enough to know that there are very big differences when you are out in public based on what you look like. Like as soon as you leave your house, you are already being judged. There are expectations. There is anticipation. And I mean, honestly, when I was your age, I was having a really hard time dating because I was too Black for the white kids and too white for the Black kids. Because I don't talk right either. I'm not ethnic. And I was like, I was I was brought up in a tiny town in Northern California. There were no other Black people around. And by the time I was learning language from my mom, she had been out of North Carolina and Virginia for a long time. She doesn't have an accent until she gets on the phone with her family. And then I can't understand a word she says. But yeah, there's those people look at you and then they hear the first little bit. And all of a sudden there's this whole barrage, this whole scroll of this is who this person is without any real objective evidence.
Exactly. And it's like, they just kind of run with it. And I feel like in a way, like they already make up their minds about you. Like no matter what you do, no matter what you say, they're just going to look for those things that makes them feel right. Even if they have to literally distort reality, they'll do anything to make themselves feel justified and right about you when they don't know the whole picture. They don't know your whole story. They don't know your whole reality. And I really appreciate being from Jersey City because I think living there and then living here, I hold on to that fact that like, you know, not everyone does that or whatever. And, you know, it's good to be your own person and it's good to not judge other people. Like I already had those values in my head because I was in New Jersey. So when I moved here, I'm not going to say I was equipped to handle it, but it's something I held on to not lose my fucking mind, you know, or to lose myself, to start thinking that about myself or to start hating myself or judging myself. Like I kind of held on to that. Like in New Jersey, I didn't have to worry about any of this. Like it wasn't an issue for me. And moving here, I didn't have any like expectations in a way. Like I didn't know what to expect. Like COVID already messed up everyone's mental health. Like, so moving here, I was just like, okay, whatever. Just gonna hope for the best. I didn't think about stuff like that. Like, I was just kind of ready to move. And so when I started experiencing it, I was like, oh shit. Like, it was kind of like a cultural shock. I literally experienced this cultural shock. And so I had to tune in to my Jersey side, I guess. Like, remember, you didn't feel like this your whole life. From 0 to 16, you never dealt with these issues until you moved, you know? So like, just kind of hold on to that, like where you're from, how you grew up. Even my mom, like she educated us about, you know, things of that nature, but she didn't raise us to be hateful. She didn't raise us to have hatred for anyone.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so I held on to that as well. But just living here, it opened up my perspective a little bit when it comes to like just existing in the world, just as who I am, you know?
That's so interesting too, because I think it is probably an age thing, exactly as you're saying, because you developmentally had already passed that question of who you are, right? So like in puberty, you know, 11, 12, 13, we're trying to figure out who we are apart from our parents, because before then, you are just part of your parents or whoever your parental figures are, right? And then that whole independence thing, because frankly, we're a bunch of dickheads and our parents want to get away from us anyways at that time. Everybody does. That's why there's middle school, because you need to keep the little kids and the big kids away from the shitheads. But I think once you're past that developmental age and you really have a view and a vision of who you are, you might not know what you're going to be or how you picture yourself in 10 or 15 years, but at least you understand kind of who you are in the world. And you had gotten that development and your mom had been a really good role model, and frankly, your neighborhood, you know, the society that you were living in was diverse enough that you were accepted for who you proved yourself to be rather than what you look like when you walk out the front door.
Exactly.
And I think the lack of diversity in Reno and I mean, most other places, honestly, is that there aren't enough minorities. There aren't enough people who look weird. And so people are just going to slap a label on you as soon as they see you because that's their comfort level. Like having that curiosity and ability to change your mind about who somebody is once you meet them, like it's human nature. We all go into assuming who somebody is based on their look. It's human nature. That's what you do. But I think when you are when you have cultivated this diversity, this self-assurance, this confidence, and you're curious about the rest of the world, and you've explored and you've gotten out of your neighborhood, then you can say, oh, I think this about that person. And then once you get to know them, they're like, I was wrong. That is not what's happening. And you're able, that growth edge is way closer, easier to overcome. You're much more apt. And I love those surprises, honestly. Like those surprises to me, I have met way too many people working in the emergency department for 25 years and traveling all over the place. Of course, I'm going to go in with preconceived notions and judgment. But the minute that you surprise me with something, I'm like, oh yeah, like this is super fun. Let's get at it. I want to know all about you, what makes you different. But I think that's uncomfortable for a lot of people who don't go through that, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I feel like people, they're sure about their bias. Like,
yes.
like, there's nothing you can do or say to have this person change their mind and like be a better person. Like, they're just, like you were saying, comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the difference, you know, like, you already have this thought about someone. You meet them, and instead of viewing them as an individual and like seeing what they care about, seeing their values, how they treat others, you kind of like nitpick their actions to see if they do or say something that confirms your prejudice. And if they do that, you run with it and discard everything else. And if they don't do it, you just kind of wait and kind of just like, you know, poke, or you kind of spy to wait for them to confirm that. Like, I think that's the difference. Like, when you have someone in front of you showing you who they are, like, it's okay to like say that, oh, I was wrong about this person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't have to say it out loud. Just like think to yourself, oh wow, like, you know, like this person's actually cool. Like this person, they're funny, they're a good person, you know, I can be comfortable around them. They're polite, they're kind. Like, oh, I was wrong. I feel like a lot of people just don't do that. They just run with whatever they think.
Yeah, you might not even get a chance.
Literally.
Right? Like that portrait has been painted and it has been lacquered and it's up on the wall. That's it. There's nothing you're going to do about it.
That is it. You can't please them. You can't change their mind. And I don't think it's on you to like change their mind, but just being who you are and then seeing that, like no matter what, they're going to stick to the narrative they created and they're going to stick to the reality they created in their own head. And most of the time, that's not someone's reality. Mm-hmm. At least that's not someone's whole reality. You know, stereotypes, things of that nature, bias, prejudice, it's only part of someone's reality. And I think it's important to recognize that, yes, we all do that and we all have that. But the difference is when you can admit that you were wrong. Like literally, that's it. Just admit that you were wrong and maybe try to do a little better next time. Like maybe don't be so harsh on people before you meet them next time. Or if you are harsh on them and you finally meet them, be able to admit, you know, I was wrong about this person. Like that's okay to do. It's uncomfortable, but imagine how many more people you can meet. Imagine how many more friends you can meet, colleagues, like relationships you can have if you were just more open-minded.
Right.
You know? Like,
I revel in the awkward. Like I want you to throw me for a loop. I want that whoa moment. It's like one of the biggest joys in life because I think that's part of the curiosity and discovering about people. But if you just stay in your lane and you aren't interested about other people and exploring diversity, then you just stale in your rut. I mean, because your best friend is exactly like you, right? You were telling me like he's just like you.
Oh,
he's
no.
Exactly what you expected.
Oh, wait. Okay. Sorry. I have two best friends. One, she's still in New Jersey. We met when I was 14 years old and we still talk to this day. She's still my best friend. And we're both 21. But no, I have another best friend who I met after I moved to Reno. He is not the same as me.
I love this.
He's the complete opposite. Like in a way, you would expect us to not be friends. You know, he's a white boy from Reno. You know, he has both his parents, like they have houses, cars. didn't struggle the way I did. But he is truly my best friend. And I feel like both of us kind of helped each other open our perspectives as well. Because I'm sure he feels the same about me. Like, I'm this Black girl from Jersey City, like I have all of this like trauma and experienced something that he may not understand. But we don't allow that to drive a wedge between us. We kind of use that to become closer. We tell each other about things. I tell him things, he tells me things. I show him music, he shows me music. I tell him certain lingo, he tells me certain lingo. Like it's just two completely different worlds, but he's truly, truly like my best friend. And I'm so happy I met him. So yeah, we're definitely not the same. Like we're exact opposite, actually.
That's why I brought it up, because I love this.
Yes, he is my best friend. Truly, like he's from Reno, been here his entire life, and he's just some boy from Reno, and that's my best friend.
But it's lovely because you guys bring different perspectives and colors and smells and experiences to each other. And it just enriches your life. Like it, breaks down some walls and some barriers that you might have otherwise had. And then it leaves you open for even more awesome people to enter your life and network with and love. That open-mindedness, you can't replace it. No. My best friend, we have been best friends since kindergarten. Yeah. And we are not quite as opposite as you and your best friend because she is also a woman. However, her greatest athletic accolade was synchronized swimming for a summer in 7th grade. And she's like 5'3", $120 on a heavy day. I'm 5'11", 180. Played sports my whole life, still doing it. Like, it doesn't make any sense that she's like a super liberal artsy person and works with NGOs for administration, and her major was like English or history or something that I completely sucked at entirely. And I'm like, science and medicine. And she's like, ooh, it's a scab. And so, but yeah, like almost 50 years later, 48 years later, we're still best friends. I mean, and we've had a lot of different experiences. We raised our kids so incredibly differently. Like, my kid's best time when he could barely stand up was to be thrown into the back of the couch, like fully, like as hard as you could, just throw him into the back of the couch and he would just fall down laughing. When her daughter was learning to walk, she bought her a helmet. Megan, she sent me a picture of this thing and I said, what in the hell is on my niece's head? I will come down there and snatch that thing. And she's like, well, we have tile floors. I'm like, she's 2 feet tall. Oh my God, it's not like you falling on a tile floor. She's meant to do this. We all learn to walk on very hard surfaces without a freaking pink quilted helmet, Catherine.
That is a bit.
Yeah. And so, yeah, very, very different parenting experiences, how we like to do life. We have traveled sometimes together. I show up with a backpack with like all my stuff just jammed into the bottom of it and all wrinkled, and on their 3rd day, and I like sniff it, see if it's going to make, and she has like packages of, these are your pants, shirt, shoes, and socks for the day. And so she has like little what? I don't even do that when I have access to my closet. Like who's got time for that?
Who?
Megan.
Not me.
Megan has time for that. Yeah, we could not be any different. But at the same time, like, we love each other and we keep each other open to like weird stuff that we would not otherwise think about, experience. And I'm still ready to go scuba diving with you and Yap.
Yes.
So let's do that for your birthday. Quit putting it off. So annoying.
Scuba diving.
Yes.
You gonna go scuba diving? I
love to scuba dive. And hysterically, COVID encouraged her and her daughter to get scuba trained. And I was like, what? Because this is so not her jam. So not her jam. She got way outside of her lane, but her kid wanted to do marine biology. And so that was one of the few things that they could do during COVID. that was like on their own, was to take scuba lessons. And so they did that. So she got certified, and I'm like, let's hit Micronesia. Let's go.
That is so awesome.
Right?
I wouldn't do that, but
oh God,
that sounds amazing.
I've been waiting for like 15 years, woman. Like, let's book some flights.
We have to go.
Seriously. So it is so important to have those friendships with the weirdos.
So important.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's like one of the most valuable relationships I have. Truly. If there's anyone who showed me what a true friend is and what it means to be a friend, it would be him.
Oh my goodness. I love that. It's so warm and fuzzy.
But we were in high school together. So we weren't friends in high school because I was to myself. I was quiet and I just focused on school. But he was in one of my classes, and he was always that bubbly person who's like talking to people, participating in class. But I never talked to him. And so the first conversation we had was when we had this group project for our final. It was our senior year. And we had to like change tables to sit with our groups. And I left my phone on my desk charging. And so he sat in my seat, and I was like, hey, can you just watch my phone really quick? Like I had to go like across the classroom. So I was like, can you watch my phone? He was like, oh yeah, sure. I got you. And he watched my phone for me. And afterwards, when the class was finished, I walked up to him. I was like, thank you so much. Like I was, I didn't want to leave my phone, but it was almost going to die. So that was our first conversation. He was really sweet, really nice. But we didn't become friends until my freshman year of college. So I knew him in high school, and I knew he was a cool dude, but I didn't really talk to him. I didn't really know who he was or how he was until we started really talking and becoming friends in my first year. And we had a phase where we weren't friends and we didn't talk for my sophomore year. And that was a whole different story. It was like I was friends with him and then another person who was just so extremely toxic that I think it just bled over to everyone else, and everyone was just like, it just wasn't a good duo or trio, I guess. And so I stopped being his friend because I'm like, okay, you're going to keep being their friend. I don't want to be your friend.
Oh, you had to get away both of them because of the toxic person.
It was so unhealthy. It was terrible. So
poison is like that.
Literally, it was literally poison. So we didn't talk for a year. But after that year, I saw him on campus walking around or whatever. And we looked at each other. Like we looked at each other and we both just kind of pretended that we didn't exist. Like we kind of just kept walking and talking with whoever we were with. And I got so mad. I was so mad. I was angry. Like, even though it was my choice to not be his friend, I was mad at him for acting like I didn't exist. And so I sent him a text. I was like, I don't know what happened between us, but you can take whatever you have and shove it up your ass. And I cursed him out, and I was just so mad. I was so like, it was literally me who said that I needed a break. And I know that, but for some reason I was just hurt and I was mad. So I sent him that text and he was just like, Dallasia, like, I don't know what you're talking about, but you being gone, like, it really did hurt me. It's like you were gone out of nowhere and I just didn't see you anymore. And I was like, oh shit. Like, oh shit. Like, he really did care about me. He truly was my friend, but the toxicity just wasn't good for either of us. And I had this perception of him that he was just a terrible friend, terrible person who I didn't like, should be friends with. And so when I sent him this text and he responded with like grace and like compassion and just trying to understand why I was so upset, I was like, wow. So yeah, then we became friends again, and today we're good. We went to Lake Tahoe on Sunday. It was great. It was fun. So he really did truly show me what it was like to be a real friend. So yeah.
Yeah.
I love him.
I love that he had the depth and, like you said, the grace to just stand his ground and be like, no, I miss you. And You can blow bluster at me as much as you want to, but I'm still just going to be here loving you.
Oh, I felt bad. I felt so bad. I was like, oh, fuck. Like the grace he showed me and just like the love he still had for me when we didn't talk for a year. And it was me who said I didn't want to be friends. I was like, wow, like this guy really considered me a friend. And like, he cared about me more than I thought. We were just in a weird situation with some other person who kind of gaslighted both of us.
Mm-hmm.
I think him responding in that way is what showed me what a true friend is. Because I did hurt him, but he, like you were saying, he missed me and he tried to understand, and he's just the most like kind person that I know. And he also taught me lessons, and he taught me things, and taught me how to be more patient and things of that nature. So I think we were meant to be friends. Like, it's crazy because if I didn't move here, I wouldn't have met him. If I didn't move here, I wouldn't have met him. So I'm grateful.
He probably says the same thing about you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks again, Mom.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to wrap this one up. Dallasia and I have tons more to talk about. So I think this is going to be a series.
It will be.
Okay. I'm glad we're all ready for that. But thank you for joining us. And I'm going to be live with the Dank Dads this Sunday on the 8th at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So Vegas will be in this seat. I'll be over there cracking him up and trying to put a dildo on his forehead. So you're not going to want to miss that. I think we're going to talk about...
Make sure you tune in.
That's right.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.
That's
Bye.
it for fuck's sake.
We're out.
Bye.